Hello Manor community and fellow graduates. I hope this video finds you all healthy, well, and in high spirits due to your latest accomplishments. My name is Gauss, and much like yourselves, I too am a part of Manor's first class of Bachelor graduates. I come from a long line of Manor graduates, with my aunt having graduated from the dental hygiene program in 1984. My mother was the next to graduate in 2006 with her associates in health science. Following in her footsteps, my twin sister graduated in 2013 with the same degree. Next would come my younger sister, who graduated in 2016 from the dental hygiene program. My cousin was the latest of us to graduate in 2018, also receiving an associate's in health science. That is until I graduated fall semester of 2019, making me the first Bachelor graduate. The thing I find most beautiful about my family's connection to Manor is how the Manor community in itself is more than a learning institution. It is a family. My family has always been my source of strength. Being one of almost 100 in the Philadelphia area, the proverb, "it takes a village," is something I've experienced firsthand in many ways. That's why I was drawn to Manor. Knowledge is indeed power, and with my family having always been my source of power and strength, I knew the family framework Manor dedicates themselves to was why it would feel like a second home and why I would be able to receive a true education during my time here. I stand before you today and can proudly say the lessons and courses I learned from my Manor family are just as important to me as the ones my birth family taught me. Both lessons make me who I am, and without one or the other, I wouldn't be whole. Having graduated in 2014 with my associate's degree in paralegal studies, I entered into the workforce only to find that something in my life was missing. Knowing that education is always a correct route to direct oneself when they are lost, I found myself looking in various bachelor programs at several colleges. After leaving one college in particular, I reflect on a moment I had while sitting in my car. I was in an admissions office for several minutes waiting on paperwork. Next to me was a mother and her young son. After several minutes, her son began to get very hungry and started to lose his patience. His mother assured him they were next and would stop by his grandmother's house for dinner after they were done. As I sat in my car, I tried to think of how I knew that child. He seemed way too familiar to me, but I couldn't remember where I had seen him before. After a few short minutes, I had then realized that child was me. During the time my mother decided to go back to school, her mother, my grandmother, was dying. With her working a part-time job and my father working 2 jobs, my sister and I found ourselves sitting patiently in Manor's hallways, waiting rooms as children, while our mother went in to receive help from Professor Landis and Professor Maddie Seltzer. The Manor staff, being aware of her situation, always took the time to help her in any way she needed. I then thought about all the dedicated, hard-working mothers I sat next to and learned with while I received my associates at Manor. Their hard work and dedication reminded me of the beautiful struggle my mother went through during her time at Manor, and only drove me to work harder. An intuitive feeling came over me, and I knew I had to reach out to Manor. I had to reach out to the place that set my family and myself up on the path for success. To my surprise, I was met by the man who had helped my mother nearly a decade ago, the same man who dedicated this time to tutoring her while my sisters and I waited in that hallway, Professor Landis. I was thrilled to learn that Manor was in the process of building several bachelor programs. Knowing there were still many things that needed to be worked out, I knew this was an unknown step into advancing their academic institution. But I also knew that Manor had the dedication, mentality, and leadership to move their institution forward. I had to be a part of this. Manor's goal in expanding their home to allow more students to come in and further their education intrigued me. I knew I had to be a part of this process. During my time at Manor and achieving both my associate's and bachelor's degree, philosophy was by far the most important subject I embraced. It led me to understand that the fundamental nature of knowledge, reality, and existence is key to knowing truth. Having placed a philosophical mentality at the core of every class and lesson I engaged in, I find it to be the factor in my success thus far. However, I now find myself using the same method to approach problems I never thought I'd have to embrace back when I graduated in December of 2019. We are living in a time of chaos and struggle, with hundreds of thousands of businesses closing. It is predicted that nearly 10 to 20% of higher education institutes could permanently close within a year's time as well. Fellow graduates, I ask you to not take this lightheartedly. Yes, we've accomplished something great, but the drive to achieve cannot end here. We will move into the next chapter of our lives burdened with the tasks generations before us have never known. We have or will enter the workforce with the odds not in our favor, and we are subjected to harsh reality that it is on us to uplift a nation that has been pushed to its knees. Being a part of this first graduating class is an honor. We represent one of the most important pillars when it comes to the construction of this growing institution. Always remember that as you continue on with your lives, just as our academic temple has adapted to these dangerous times, we must do the same. Just as Manor will continue on its pursuit in educating, we must also go off into the world and make changes for the better. Our institution may not be the biggest, our graduating class not the largest, but strength isn't measured in size. It's measured by one's heart and the resiliency to keep pushing forward, even when a victorious outcome seems inevitable. Fellow Manor graduates, I congratulate you, but I also remind you to always and forever stay Manor strong.